Hello, I'm Toycat, and usually on this channel we talk about the next big Minecraft update, but the next update will not be Minecraft 1.22, nor will the update after that, meaning that a year after the release of the Tricky Trials update, we are still seeing minor updates to it, rather than brand new major updates themselves. This raises the question, are all updates going to be minor now? Drops, if you will? Are big updates ever going to happen again? And will they ever go back to that old system? Well, let's go into that today, because you can subscribe, by the way, if you want to see more Minecraft update news daily on your homepage, although we could be frank and say that actually you won't hear a lot about updates, but instead you'll hear about drops, which is the new terminology for Mojang updates. These happen on the game on about a quarterly basis, and instead of containing as much content as an update, they contain far less, but they can release far more frequently. And so where we would have expected to see Minecraft 1.22 release a year after 1.21, as had happened in the previous 5 years, instead we've seen a year that's had 4 smaller drops. And so Minecraft 1.22 is not coming out as June's update. Instead, that will be 1.20, 1.90, and the update after it will be 1.20, 1.100. And until we hear something new from Mojang, the current assumption is that this pattern will continue all the way into the autumn drop, and then the next winter drop, and so on and so forth, all the way into the next summer. This means that this might be the longest major update development cycle because they're not really focusing on it right now. Instead, the focus has been on making all of these drops, and this has actually been a really good thing in the new system. I want to talk about whether the lack of a 1.22 is a good or a bad thing, and of course the confusion that it brings in either case, but first it's important to note the fact that we have never seen so many individual feature updates in 1 year, or at least in the modern era of Minecraft. Back when it was developed by a small team of 1 and then 1 to 10 people, Minecraft could update very, very regularly, but in the time since then, as it has corporatized, 1 update a year has been just about as much as has been managed, and so going to an era where we see multiple drops a year is actually a very cool thing, because it means if you like to play Minecraft and regularly be surprised by things, well, last year you would have seen that bundles and hardcore came to the game, and then you would have seen an entire new biome pop up out of nowhere. Then we'd have seen brand new variants for the cold and warm mobs, plus the fact that you can get this beautiful new flower, and then you would see that this summer, at the end of all of that, there's going to be a brand new version of the Ghast that you can ride. To a casual player, this is great because you get lots of individual features, all of which are kind of fun, but even to a more experienced player, I mean, I can use myself as an example here, I love the split of, say, a single update worth of content into 4, because it means that I can spend my winter enjoying getting the new pale moss blocks, and indeed the resin that came with it, without that being overshadowed by the firefly bushes, which come in the spring, and then of course, we have the fun world of having access to the Ghast coming soon. I love that I can take each of these parts of an update and enjoy them individually, because as far as they are concerned now, they're all their own updates. Sure, they are minor updates instead of major, but in theory, they could be the same size, and even if not, it's given them time to work on and finish all sorts of more minor projects. The biggest one that we can point to is of course the vibrant visuals, which are coming out fairly shortly, but I've mentioned all of the kind of in-progress Minecraft updates, which they're now able to work to, which they previously wouldn't have been able to. I mean, previously, because they were working on a 1-year development cycle, it was very rare that anything would fall outside of that, the only major example being the combat update, but now they can work on things and not have a fixed deadline. This is really great for the variety that we can get in a given update. However, I think it has to be immediately noticed that the lack of a 1.22, the lack of 1 major update to solidify all of this content, has led to delivery of less. I mean, we can't do a full comparison till the summer drop is finished or out, but let's take the bundles of Bravery, the Garden Awakens, and the Spring to Life drop, and combine it with the summer drop, the Happy Ghast one, and let's make that into 1 update, the equivalent of 1.22, what we would have gotten if instead of releasing it every 3 months, they combined it into 1. Well, yeah, it would be a confusing, glib-glab of different parts. They take bundles at the same time as a Pale Moss update, at the same time as making Summon Springer features. It would be a weird and confusing update, but also there would be less content in it. And so, therefore, we have to say, okay, well, yeah, there's less content, but it got to release more frequently, and because they all released as minor updates, none of them were 1.22, it means that they're all really functional for modding, right? Well, actually, I've spoken to quite a few modding friends on the Java edition, and they basically all say, no, this new system is a nightmare. They're all minor updates on the surface. They officially count as 1.20, 1.2, but you still have to update your mods as if it was something else entirely. I've spoken to a fair few creators of mods on the Java edition, and they say it's a nightmare because every update is changing the syntax of some item name namespace, or they're changing the way that entities hold mobs, and it means that there's actually no benefits to the minor update system, and indeed on Bedrock there have never been benefits in that way because of the way that it kind of backwards emulates, and so there aren't any direct benefits of the naming system besides psychological. Psychologically speaking, we've all come to expect slightly less from an update called 1.20, 1.90, and seemingly that is the biggest beneficiary of the new system, Mojang and or the community, because even though there is less total content in all of these updates compared to a Minecraft 1.22, ultimately people seem to be liking it far more. I think the fact that you can have so much success just by rebranding something is something you could be very cynical about and say, wow, doesn't that prove that so much of our expectations actually manipulate our reality? But actually that seems to be what Mojang have proven with this year of content drops. Even so far with the summer drop, it's been almost 3 months, and just the Happy Ghast alone is enough to keep people's vibes going sky high. I think now we're starting to see some creators go, oh, is this seriously it after a year of content? We're starting to see some people who have been deep in the Minecraft community for decades start to question, oh, what is happening here? But the majority of average players are seeing this as a positive, and so do we need a Minecraft 1.22? Would the player base even be sadder with it? Well, both of these questions are technically irrelevant when it comes to answering the real one, which is there going to be a Minecraft 1.22 ever? Now that Mojang have confirmed that they're not going to announce every more major drop as 1.22 or a major version, now that Mojang have confirmed they're not going to have a major version every year, they've now basically said, yeah, and if we continue doing drops, we can expect Minecraft to never move beyond 1.21, but are they still going to do updates? Well, we still, after a full year under this new drop system, have only one post to point to, and it is this, the future of Minecraft's development. And in this, they said very clearly that they were looking to change the way that things were done, because from the addition of jungle biomes in 2012 to the trial chambers in 2024, each free update has expanded our game's blocky universe a little further, but they said that they want to let us share features that they're working on with you more regularly. In other words, they wanted to do drops because it means instead of having to work on a feature, then hold on to it for a long time, they can release it right into the wild. However, they also said there's one very fascinating paragraph here, which is that Minecraft is a game that has been growing since it first released, and alongside these regular content drops, our developers will be focusing on long-term initiatives to ensure we can continue to involve Minecraft into the future. Now, at the risk of having to become your Minecraft lawyer here, we have to be very clear that there are two different ways you can define this. Are long-term initiatives things like the brand's new UI update, or indeed to go deeper here, we could say things like the brand's new update they're doing to the entire graphic settings and vibrant visuals, or do we say that long-term initiatives are things that they're working on to make sure that the game gets major updates still when it needs them, rather than just updating every year for the sake of it? Now 1.22 will be in as many months' time as it takes for them to have something which is actually revolutionary. Will 1.22 wait until, say, they're ready for an end update, or they're ready for a full transportation update with all of those minecarts, or they're ready for a full combat update? Well, there is some real ambiguity here, and with 1 year on, and again, 4 full drops coming out in this year, with no sign of them stopping, is this the sign that actually Minecraft 1.21 is here to stay, and Minecraft 1.22 might be years away? Well, the fun thing is we don't actually know. Sadly, Ryan Cooper hasn't gone on record and spoken about any form of these long-term initiatives since then, and so all we can really say is that Minecraft for PlayStation 5 was definitely the first one, and that they were looking to improve multiplayer. Perhaps that is what we are seeing with the locator bar, and perhaps we are also seeing vibrant visuals. Are any of these big enough to be called 1.22? Well, Minecraft PS5 certainly wasn't. It looks as though the locator bar, now that it's been unexperimentalized, certainly is not. Is vibrant visuals the opportunity to create a Minecraft 1.22? Well, the easy answer from my perspective is yes. I think that vibrant visuals is one of the most transformative things they've done in a very long time, and so is it going to be that when vibrant visuals is properly released for both Bedrock and Java, or at the very least for Bedrock with some form of content on Java, is it going to be that when vibrant visuals is out, they consider that to be 1.22? Because if they do, then great, this is going to be the way going forwards. Minecraft will release lots of drop content, and that will be most content to the game, and then every now and then we get a major update, or potentially this could be the future of Minecraft versioning from now on. This could be a radical change to the system, and let's be honest, that has happened many times before. Most Bedrock players have only been playing for somewhere in the last 6 or 7 years, and so you might have only really known one way that Minecraft version numbering works, but let me tell you how it's changed just in my lifetime, because I've been making Minecraft update news videos for 13 years now. Kind of shocking to say out loud, actually, but I've been making videos for 13 years about Minecraft updates, and when we first started, in fact, if you look at my first ever Update Adventures Let's Play, it's called 1.8.2 because that is what the 4J Studios developers referred to the console edition versions as at the time, because they were copying over content from the Java edition, and they assumed that they would do so sequentially, and so why not just call the console updates the same as the Java updates? However, then they started adding things slightly non-sequentially. Some features from 1.6 came before the rest of it, for example, and so those update names didn't work smoothly anymore, and so we went to Title Update 1, or well, Title Update 19 or whatever, and then after the Xbox 360 and Xbox One weren't the only platforms, then they went over to Content Update 19, etc., and this was the way that they described updates until Bedrock came along with its Better Together update, and there was no longer a console edition getting updates. Then it became Bedrock with its 1.1.0 and 1.2.0, the slabs, stairs, and signs updates, but this is what they did slowly but surely there, and then we went from having just version numbers to having update titles with a version number. For example, 1.16 was called 1.16 The Never Update, and now we're back to just having update names such as the Garden Awakens as the full name of the update. Even though the Garden Awakens was 1.20, 1.50, even though the Spring to Life update was 1.20, 1.70, Mojang basically never uses these names in marketing, and as a community we know these names because we see them in our Bedrock at all times, but it could be that the new version numbering is confusing and doesn't match between versions, kind of intentionally, because if I can finish this video with one final grand point, I think it is that Mojang doesn't want us to use version numbers to define updates anymore, and that is a bold claim, but let me prove to you why that is. First of all, let's look at the past. When it comes to 1.15 and say 1.18, I think these are both updates which were really hampered by the fact that they were called major version updates, and so people expected just as much as any other one. However, if you see instead the Buzzy Bees as a minor holiday update, and instead you see Caves and Cliffs as being one update that just happened to be released as two major version numbers, then actually the Caves and Cliffs is one of the best updates ever, and the Buzzy Bees is surprisingly fun. Whereas if you see 1.15 as trying to compete or be similar to the Village and Pillage or the Never update, then it's just kind of laughable, right? It's just kind of silly to even put it in those same categories, and I think that weirdly, if we look at the success of the Garden Awakens and Spring to Life amongst the wider community, they contain very few features for a major update, if we will, but because there is no expectation of an update, it is just a drop that comes out, and for many players is like, oh, that's kind of surprising. That is a very, very successful plan, and this looks like it's going to go forwards even into the summer drop, where literally so far we have just two features. At time of recording and potentially at time of release, there are two major parts of this update, but call it a fun name and then market the Happy Ghast like crazy, and people will go, wow, I can't believe we're getting another update literally just 3 months after the last one, because the average player isn't excited about version numbers, and the average player isn't excited about the breadth of the changelog. The average player just goes, how long has it been since I've been able to do something new in Minecraft? And ultimately, I think that Mojang is nailing it from the community perspective. I don't know whether that is a good thing for the game more broadly or not. I think that's something that is a hard question, but I do think that right now, the lack of a Minecraft 1.22 is something that is a bummer if you've been following Minecraft for years and you know about Minecraft versions, but to the average Minecraft player, maybe Minecraft 1.22 not happening is actually a good thing. And I think that this is another important reminder that perceptions shape your reality, and right now people's perceptions are shaping their reality for Minecraft in a very huge way, and is that necessarily a bad thing? Well, I guess I'll let you be the judge. For now, I'll also let your perceptions shape whether this is someone going into a deep dive about Minecraft's version number, or whether it's an old man complaining that things are different than they used to be. I am very aware that that's what people do all the time, but what I'm also aware of is the fact that you can like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you really liked it, and yeah, I'm gonna get back to trying to beat Minecraft with only items that have been added since 2020. This is another case where your perceptions of what is new and what is not are so different to what actually is, but yeah, doing my best, and I hope you enjoyed my build, because I'll see you next time. Bye!